We are ready. You can start.
All right, perfect.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Misty. Good evening, everyone. Board of Alders notice New Haven, the City Services and Environmental Policy Committee of the Board of Alders will meet on Thursday, January 7th, 2021 at 6 p.m. via video conference at https://bit.ly/37grg2i and by phone at 646-558-8656. Webinar ID 933-3160-6273 to hear and act on the following items. For required password, contact public testimony at newhavenct.gov. Item 1, LM-2020-0504. Resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor of the city of New Haven to accept funding of approximately $100,000 from the state of Connecticut and to execute encroachment permits, maintenance agreements, and other paperwork for future public artwork in State Department underpasses in New Haven in accordance with the 2019 DOT Public Art Policy. Item number 2, LM-2020-0505, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor of the city of New Haven to execute encroachment permits, maintenance agreements, and other paperwork for 2 existing public murals on State Department of Transportation underpasses along State Street in accordance with the 2019 DOT Public Art Policy. Item number 3, LM-2020-0506, resolution of the New Haven Board of Alders authorizing the mayor of the city of New Haven to execute encroachment permits, maintenance agreements, and other paperwork for a public mural in the I-91 underpass at the intersection of State Street and Bradley Street in accordance with the 2019 DOT Public Art Policy. Per order, Honorable Anna M. Festa, Chair, attest Honorable Michael Smart, City Clerk. These items are on file and available in the office of the City Clerk, room 202 at 200 Orange Street, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510. For accessibility-related accommodations, please call 203-946-7833V or 203-946-8582 TTY/TDD. Public comments, testimony may also be submitted via email to publictestimony@newhavenct.gov before 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting. If you wish to present testimony at the meeting, you must register in advance at https://bit.ly/37grg2i or by calling 203-946-7934 or emailing publictestimony@newhavenct.gov before 2 p.m. on the day of the meeting for the required password. Public can view the meeting at https://bit.ly/37grg2i or listen by phone at 646-558-8656. Webinar ID 933-3160-6273. The password to listen by phone only is 72887157. At this time, I will have my committee introduce themselves. I am Anna Festa, Ward 10 and Chair of CSEP. I will move on to Alder DeCola.
Sal DeCola, Ward 18.
Carol Ann Koontz, Ward 12.
Abby Roth, Ward 7.
Alder Singh, Ward 5.
Go ahead, Alder Winter.
Stephen Winter, Ward 21.
And do I see Alder Smith? I do not. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Happy to see you on. We will move forward with probably all 3 items. I see that Ms. Woods is here. Good evening. Any presenters that will be presenting these items tonight, if you could state your name and address for the record, that would be great. And if you could turn your cameras on as well for anyone who is presenting, that would be also great. So we will start with Ms. Woods, and if you want to direct who is on for presenting these items from your department, that would be helpful as well. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Aisha Woods, 42 Canner Street, New Haven, and I am the Director of City Plan. I am very, very pleased to be here. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to all of you for the work you do, especially at this time. And I'm very pleased to be able to present something that has a kind of positive aspect to it for this committee tonight for your consideration. It makes sense to, I'll just very briefly talk about all three items at once. And then we do have some speakers on behalf of specific items that I will introduce momentarily. So this is really really an order or a resolution that would enable the city to really expand its public art program in the underpasses in a collaboration with the Department of Transportation. In the past, there's been some murals that were executed and various different initiatives, and previously they had been done mostly by volunteers in a kind of ad hoc kind of way. And in this order, the state reached out to us and really would like to formalize the relationship and also to help, to help facilitate the creation of art in the underpasses, specifically on DOT property. So this is, all three orders are really about the relationship between the city and the DOT and enabling these public art projects. They're also take into account, some of the projects that have been done in the past. One of the projects that is before you, the Bradley Street project, is a pending project, so it's all ready to go. It just needs this paperwork before it. And then in order to facilitate both the programming and the funding of future art murals, we have a resolution that would enable the city to enter in agreements with our state partners. The first, well, I'll go in sort of the order of the past. The order is related to previous murals, and the Bradley Street mural are really, they've been before the Board of Alders previously. They were before the Board of Alders in April, and they were passed favorably. When we came to actually trying to enter the agreement with the state, our own council advised that the orders needed some additional language to them. So this is really a technical resubmission on those two orders that have come before you. And it's including some language about indemnification that was not in the previous order. Otherwise, the resolutions are fairly identical to what you saw in April. Regarding the future artwork, this falls in line. It's very similar. It has all the same purposes and agreement language that the other two orders have. It would just kind of set a pathway so that in the spring, and this would really be led by our Director of Arts and Culture. It would facilitate some programming for future underpasses. And we really see this as a wonderful opportunity. There's been kind of this burgeoning of public art recently, especially, even during the pandemic. We've seen a number of different public art projects in the city, and this would just be a continuation of that, both opportunities for local artists to to participate and be paid, and so there's an economic aspect to it, but also a way for communities to come together and work on a shared cultural project, which is so important right now. I want to turn this over a little to John Martin to talk a little bit about the Bradley Street project and give it, to help just remind ourselves about the amount of community participation and that went into that and the community support. And then after John, I'd like to turn it over to Johnny Dock, who's here with us from the governor's office, to talk about the future murals and the relationship with the state and the city on this really great project.
Hey, thank you, Aisha. Just so everyone knows, when you do speak, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you. So Mr. Martin, if you'd like to begin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Can you guys hear me? Okay. If you can't hear me, sometimes it gets a little loud in here, just like interrupt me. But yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Alders. John Martin, 93 Pearl Street. Yeah, I am co-president of the Upper State Street Business Owners Association, a member of the New Haven Development Commission, and also a local business owner on Bradley Street, the Bradley Street Bicycle Co-op, for the last 5 years. And yeah, I'm very grateful for the committee's support of these agenda items. And it's just very welcome. We, as a group, the association, neighbors, funders, Elm City Innovation Collaborative, the City of New Haven, and departments in the city are Alder Roth, and many Alders adjacent, including Alder Festa, have been working on this mural at Trumbull and Bradley and the Trumbull Street Underpass for over 2 years. It began 2018 with just kind of a couple ideas, and really grew fast with supports from partnerships and funding, and people just got really excited about it. And we had a lot of support and quickly became funded with a design and a bunch of volunteers who were ready to go. And then kind of, yeah, years went by and lots of emails, so many emails were exchanged. And we realized that the biggest obstacle for this project was not designing it, was not funding it, was not getting volunteers to do it, was not getting support, was actually just like the permitting process and the kind of paperwork and the stuff that is above my pay grade. And so I'm just so excited that this has come forward, and Aisha has been such a great partner in the city, and just trying to use us maybe as guinea pigs of the kind of next round of doing this to create a new, better, faster, and more efficient way of just like letting folks who have an idea be able to go execute that idea and make their city more beautiful and make us all more proud to live and work here. And so it's really been it's been sometimes a very taxing journey, and continues, of course, but now that we get to paint and see it happen and build something that's like maybe really small, but maybe really big, and but no matter what, beautiful and really fun for our neighborhood. We're just so thankful that you all are here and are excited with us, and so thankful for everyone, especially Alder Roth, who's been just tireless in her efforts of not letting this slip and keeping this move forward. So yeah, thank you so much for your support, and just so excited to make this happen.
Great. Well, thank you for your comments. And, yes, and Alder Roth was on me too, Mr. Martin. So I'm glad to see you here. The next speaker, is it Johnny Dash?
You're muted, Johnny.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Thank you. Well, thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to speak, and to all of you both for being here tonight and for all you do for the city. I'm Johnny Dock. I'm a resident of 900 Chapel Street in New Haven, and I'm here in two capacities, both as Governor Lamont's policy director and, of course, as a resident of this city. And I'm excited to be here to talk very briefly about what I see as a small opportunity to right a historical wrong, which is the divisions that these interstates created in the city as they were put through by the state some decades ago, and the opportunity to turn what have been lines dividing neighborhoods into places to show what's best about our communities and connect different communities together, which has been demonstrated in Cedar Hill, demonstrated on Humphrey Street, and we've heard from John and his colleagues will soon be demonstrated on State and Bradley. The state of Connecticut is going to contribute with y'all's permission, two pieces. First is roughly $100,000 of funding that we've identified and the governor has approved that the city would be able to use to make sure that members of the community, artists, professional or avocational, were duly compensated for their time beautifying the city for all of us. And second, and I think as we heard from John, in some ways more important than the funding, is to provide the canvases themselves in a streamlined way and turn the walls of these underpasses in a seamless way into spaces for opportunities, spaces for work to be done. So the Department of Transportation has put together a set of 3-page guidelines that walk through what type of criteria would be approved for artwork on the walls of DOT installations. They're the things you would think: no obscenities, no advertisements for private projects. It's pretty basic stuff, and they've empowered city chief elected officials to execute an agreement with the city on behalf of the residents and having approved the artwork locally rather than having to deal with the Department of Transportation about what color the flowers on the murals are going to be. And so the 3 permits that are pending before you are essentially carbon copies of one another and carbon copies of what we hope will be able to be used in future installations. My hope is that by providing the money and the more seamless permitting experience than people might have been used to historically with our colleagues at DOT, we'll be able to unleash some local creative energy in the city to make all of these places more pleasant for all of your constituents.
Well, we thank you for the 100K that the state is offering us. I think art is important. It's an outlet, and it's also much more pleasant to look at than the underpass cement. With that being said, are there any other presenters on these items? I see that our Director of Transportation, Traffic and Parking is on, Mr. Houseladen. I didn't know if you had any additional comments to make or present. Well, thank you for your support as well. Ms. Woods, anything else that you would like to add before I move it on to my committee members?
Yes, I would just, if I may, this is Aisha Woods, 42 Cantor Street. I would just like to read a note from our Director of Cultural Affairs. It was submitted today, but just for the record, she was not able to attend, but otherwise she would have testified on behalf. Dear Board of Alders, this letter is to inform you of my support for the underpass art legislation. The Department of Cultural Affairs and the constituents that it serves will greatly benefit from this legislation. As the cultural capital of the state, we anticipate an increase of public art projects throughout this next year, and this legislation will open the door of support to our local artists, increase the visual storytelling of community history, culture, and ideas, contribute to the beautification of neighborhoods, and create a pathway to cultural tourism with entryways and underpasses filled with visual expressions and reflections of our city. Certainly, this will be a benefit to our city, our residents, and the local creative sector. Thank you for your consideration. Adrienne Jefferson. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the record, we will submit that letter of support. I just have one quick question, and I don't know if it's for Aisha or Mr. Doc. Once if this passes with the full board's approval, is this something that we have to pass for every mural that is presented, or is this going to be something that once it's done, it's set for any future projects? Go ahead, Ms. Woods.
So the agreement part will be set. It basically, this legislation will just make the agreement, will enable the city to enter an agreement directly with DOT regarding the encroachment permits, regarding the maintenance agreements, regarding all of the kind of paperwork part of it. The programming piece will be really run through our Director of Cultural Affairs. So that process will be a local process, the approval of the artwork, and that will go through, likely through the Cultural Affairs Commission, which is meeting tonight. So that will have a separate engagement process, but this is really to just facilitate the permissions, which have been so onerous for past projects. So we're very grateful to our state partners, both in the governor's office and at DOT, for really embracing this as a positive collaboration going forward. And so what's before you is really more the administrative piece than, for example, there was a map that was submitted with the application that included a range of possible sites and properties. So there would be, a separate process of kind of site selection, and it would really be dependent on specific community interest in a particular site. So what we're looking at tonight is just facilitating the paperwork side.
Perfect. Thank you for that additional information. I would like to know for the record that Alder Smith has joined us. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. At this time, I will move any questioning to my committee members, beginning with my Vice Chair, Alder DeCola. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. It's just an enjoyable project. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Antunes, any questions?
No questions at this time, ma'am.
Alder Roth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually wondered if I could read a statement from one of the artists for the Bradley Street mural who could not be here tonight, but asked me if I could read this for the record. Would that be okay? Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Anika Stewart. I've been selling and showing my art in New Haven for the last 5 years and counting. I also manage a small business salon on Chapel Street. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be here, and more so the opportunity to be able to speak to you guys in support of our community project on Upper State Street. On June 2nd, 2019, we had a potluck fundraiser thanks to John at the Bradley Street Bike Co-op. And I had the pleasure of meeting a few families who are residents of State Street who brought their children and mingled with all parties involved. I actually ended up making a few friends who then began coming to my salon. Since that day, I've been seeing these excited residents who without fail ask how things are going and without fail express their excitement to either join us in creating or how thrilled they are to have a large mural in the dark and dingy looking but heavily foot trafficked underpass. I think it would be the best feeling to be able to tell them soon, some good news soon. And all of that aside, I also want to say that as an artist during the pandemic, times are tough. With business slowing as far as revenue, I fear for the pandemic, every single show I've planned for the year was canceled. So as an artist working on this project, it would be amazing to know that we have the thumbs up in the sense of, one, creating this large art piece that the community can enjoy, and also for myself to have financial security and peace of mind for the time being. Thank you all for your time today. I do hope to hear some good news soon. Anika. Thanks.
Alder Winter, do you have any questions?
Thanks. Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to clarify if the agreement applies to murals for $100,000 grant, or if it's like an indefinite approval for the mayor to execute agreements related to murals on DOT right of way.
It is both. So it is,
It's both.
it's both. It's both. So in the future, we combine both the permission to sign agreement with DOT as well as the acceptance of funds from the state related to this project.
Once the $100,000 runs out, future murals would still be under this agreement or limited to the grant?
They are not limited to the grant. So if a community group,
Okay.
or if there was another program such as Bradley Street is funded separately, Humphrey Street was funded, sort of crowd-funded. So there's many funding. It's not dependent on the funding.
And I guess this might be a question maybe more for, maybe it's for you as the city plan director. I know there's also been discussion about lighting underpasses and other or lighting overpasses. Sorry. Is that covered by this, or and then for the state, are there any plans to expedite that process if that's been an issue in the past?
I think I'll just, this is Aisha Woods, 42 Canner. I'll just speak to it. I think that the lights are kind of, they're part of the artwork in a way, or they're accessory to the artwork. So they would be included in this. And I welcome Johnny to provide any further clarification, because I know there's been definitely discussion about lighting the artwork in the underpasses.
If I may, Madam Chair. So Johnny Dock again from 900 Chapel Street. Our Department of Transportation and City Engineering have been in conversation about upgrading lights on underpasses across the city. Speaking of my capacity as a resident, to say that I think that upgrade is sorely needed. And you can see an example of what it would look like if you drive under the on-ramp at State and Water, or Union and Water, where new LED lighting has been installed as part of that renovation project, instead of the high pressure sodium lights that are typical on the overpasses. And it provides a much brighter and, to my mind, safer feeling environment at night than the existing lighting. City Engineering has been trying to identify they were going to try to procure the physical lights and then hand them over to our DOT folks to install. And I don't have an update on that work from City Engineering. If the city felt like using a portion of this grant to pay for that hardware infrastructure, I think it would be an appropriate way of showcasing the artwork by lighting it better. But it may be that there are independent revenue streams on the city or the state side that could be put towards the same uses and preserve that $100,000 for the local artists themselves.
Alder Winter, are you all set? Oh,
Thanks. Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. I was muted. Thank you.
okay. I thank you, Mr. Dock, for that information. I mean, lighting in general, just to kind of piggyback a little bit on what we were talking about, is that the state's responsibility though, or are you talking about just special lighting?
So I would, Johnny Dock again from 900 Chapel. I would need my DOT colleagues on the line unless Aisha knows or Doug knows whether the responsibility for lighting those underpasses technically falls to the city or falls to the state. My understanding of the proposed upgrade has been that the city would provide the physical assets and CONDOT would supply the labor to upgrade them. But Doug raised his hand to suggest that he has more specific knowledge than I do.
Go ahead, Doug.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Doug Houseladen, 115 South Water Street, Director of Transportation, Traffic and Parking. Johnny's spot on with the memory. I know that City Engineer was recently trying to procure that and put that on the top of his list of things to do. I know that was the week before Christmas when I was talking to him last about that. The who provides maintenance and routine upgrades depends on the bridge. So in a lot of the cases, it's the DOT, as Mr. Doc mentioned in this case. And the State and Water, as the example, is a great example. The DOT does not yet have a specific standard yet for the LEDs, which is what's taken so long on the upgrade. That's all. So it depends on who owns the bridge. In a lot of cases, the ones that Johnny mentioned are owned by the DOT.
And Johnny, Doc, again, I can come in and say that the individual fixtures, just because I nerded out on this enough to actually look at the procurement options, each light fixture is about $400. We're not talking about an amount of money that breaks the bank here to replace those high pressure sodiums with LEDs, and then they use electricity while providing better light. So you can recoup some of that initial outlay over time.
Great. Thank you both for that explanation. I will move on to Alder Singh. Do you have any questions?
No question, Madam Chair, but I do support improved lighting on these overpass. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Singh. Alder Smith, any questions?
No questions, Madam Chair. I just think this is a great project and I can't wait to see the outcome of it.
Great. Thank you, Alder Smith. Are there any other questions from the committee? Okay, I don't see any. Anything else that any presenters would like to add that we may have missed? This would be the opportunity. Okay, great. I will now add, oh, go ahead, Mr.
Johnny Doc again from 900 Chapel. I just wanted to say thank you really for the opportunity. It is not often these days that the governor's office gets to bring people good news, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so this evening. So thank you very much for partnering with us on this, and I hope it'll be a seamless experience for the city and for the residents who go to work on these projects.
Thank you. And again, thank the governor for thinking of us and funding these projects, because they do matter to our community and it does change the environment and the overall look of our city when there's something pleasant to look at. And I think the Humphrey Street underpass is a good example of that, as well as the Cedar Hill one as well. So we thank the state for helping us fund these. At this time, I will open it up to the public for any testimony. So if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of any of these three items, this is your opportunity.
We do not have anyone from the public that joined us.
Okay, thanks, Misty. I will just say it again. If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak, this is your opportunity. And for the third time, anyone from the public that would like to speak, please speak now.
I make a motion to close the public section.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Is everyone in agreement to close the public portion of the meeting? And we'll take a vote starting with Alder DeCola.
Yes.
Antunes.
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Winter.
Yes.
Singh.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
And I, Festa, as well, say yes. So the yeas have it. The public portion is officially closed. At this time, does anyone want to move?
I move item 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Item has been moved and seconded. We will move all the items. Is there any discussion from the committee? Go ahead, Alder Roth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank everyone on this committee for listening to these items, and to very much thank the city and the state for bringing them forward, as it really has been a 2-year process with the Bradley Street mural, because of, as John Martin said, we had a lot of creativity and a beautiful design, and we raised the money we needed to raise, but the problem was the logistics. So I'm thrilled for future folks across the city who want to do this, that it will be a much easier process and they won't have to do the fundraising, although it was actually, it built community doing the fundraising. I think, as we've said, it will beautify really dark, ugly areas, and it will connect neighborhoods that the highways divide it. So I think both, I am excited for the one within my ward, and I'm excited it'll be easier for people if we approve this across the city, both funding wise and process wise. So I encourage everyone to support these items. And again, thank you to the city and the state for all your help.
Thank you, Alder Roth. Any other discussion from the committee members? Go ahead, Alder Winter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I remember when this process was just getting started and just hearing repeatedly about how onerous and forbidding the DOT paperwork process was. So I think it's exciting and encouraging that that process is being accelerated and streamlined, and that the city is getting funding from the state for this. So next we'll have to move on to the bus system. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Alder Winter. Any other committee members that would like to speak? Okay, I don't see any other hands, but I too am very grateful to the state and the city for this partnership. I think more projects like this need to take place possibly throughout the state in light of everything going on, particularly today, well, yesterday and all year in 2020. Little joy and a little bit of art goes a long way. So again, thank you to the city as well as the state for this great partnership. And if there is no further discussion from the committee, we can take a vote. And again, we can move all three of these items, vote all three of them out of committee at the same time. Do I hear a, oops, sorry. So for items 1, 2, and 3, I will go with each one of your names again to vote yay, nay, or abstain. So Alder DeCola,
Yay.
Alder Antunes,
Yay.
Alder Roth,
Yes.
Alder Winter,
Yes.
Alder Singh,
Yeah.
Alder Smith, and I am a yes as well. The yeas have it. The 3 items pass unanimously out of committee, and look forward to seeing what this brings.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Do I hear? Thank you. The adjournment has been moved and seconded. Let's take a vote on adjourning. Alder DeCola,
Yay.
Alder Antunes,
Yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Winter,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
and me, Festa, yes. So the yeas have it. We are adjourned. Again, thank you, everyone.